Deportiva y con swing.
Deportiva y con swing.
La factoría del deporte desde New York para ti. Es una máquina.
Es una máquina
Pensada para ti.
pensada para ti. Número uno en las redes, dale like y compartir.
Con informaciones importantes siempre frescas.
Y con entrevistas que te ponen de cabeza.
Lo mejor del deporte lo encontrarás aquí.
Búscale en las redes, dale like y compartir.
Suscríbete,
Ay sí,
infórmate.
ok. Dale a la campana para que te llegue.
And thanks everyone for attending. Happy holidays. Hope everyone enjoys the next few weeks. We at the Mets are pleased to confirm tonight the signings of, in alphabetical order, outfielder Mark Canha, infielder Eduardo Escobar, and outfielder Starling Marte. Each of these gentlemen are joining us from different locations around the world, I think literally, but all are joining a rejuvenated Mets team that is ready to compete in 2022. It's been an exciting few days for us, and we're very pleased to be able to introduce these three new players to the Mets community. Now I want to turn this over to Billy Eppler, who did all the legwork and the negotiations that landed these three outstanding players to the Mets organization. Billy?
Hold on, Billy, we'll get you unmuted here.
Gotcha. I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you.
All right. So thanks, Sandy. I appreciate that. You know, I would, I need to make sure to recognize first, you know, Steve and Alex Cohen and their willingness to kind of trust me and our baseball operations group with you know, with these transactions. These are real investments into the Mets team, and you know, they serve you know, our objective for putting a championship caliber club on this field. And Sandy, appreciate all your support as we went through these transactions and kind of all the permutations that exist. You know, having your counsel was really important, and also, you know, I asked you know, some guys inside baseball operations that I haven't worked with for very long to do a lot of heavy lifting with me, and be side by side virtually through this process, and between you know, alphabetically Bryn Alderson and Ian Levin and Ben Zosmer, they were with me every step of the way as I became acclimated to a new organization, and you know, embarked on trying to put together this club, and with that, you know, I'm very excited to be able to introduce again alphabetically Mark Canha, Eduardo Escobar, and Starling Marte to the Mets. And just to say, you know, a little bit about these guys, you know, adding three players, adding these three players really solidifies our lineup. It provides positional flexibility and depth, and will really allow us to kind of take on you know, a lot of the elements that get introduced over a 162 game season. So, and I think you're going to hear a common theme among this trio of positional flexibility. It was discussed with all of them during my conversations with their agents, and we want to be able to create a club that's really built to withstand the demands. And adding somebody with Mark's ability to get on base, to make good swing and no swing decisions, play above average defense in the outfield, move around the diamond, is very valuable to us. And you know, additionally, adding a player with Eduardo's ability to make contact and hit the ball hard and provide positional flexibility all throughout the infield, and contribute to to our culture was important to us. And finally, adding somebody that's as dynamic as Starling was seen as critical, and he contributes to this team in a number of ways, on the bases, in the batter's box, in the outfield. He's an exciting player and one that's going to help us win a lot of baseball games. So this is an exciting day. On the heels of our press conference earlier, it's an exciting day in the Mets universe. And again, I'm thrilled to be able to introduce these three guys today. So with that, HK, Harold, I'll kick it back to you.
Thank you, Billy, and thank you, Sandy. If you do want to ask a question, please identify who you would like to ask that of. Obviously, Sandy and Billy are available, but as you'll see, joining is Starling, Eduardo, and Mark, and each of them will be available to address any of your questions too. So with that, I think we'll begin with Steve Gelb. Steve, your line is open.
Thanks, Harold. This one, it could be for Billy or Sandy, but, Billy was just talking about the skill sets of each of these players. And, I think that speaks for itself, but there's also been a lot of talk about the type of clubhouse guys all three of them are. I mean, even Max today said that Eduardo being here was one of the big reasons he wanted to be a part of this team, and he's never even met Eduardo yet. So how much did that factor into these decisions, these signings, when you were targeting players in the offseason?
Billy, you want to answer that one?
Sure. It's definitely an element and a criteria that we look for. These guys, this group, and then everybody, even within support staff, everybody that's in that bubble that travels and moves, with the club, they're with each other from roughly Valentine's Day to Halloween, and we want them to be together till Halloween. That's a long time to be with each other, and how that group integrates, supports each other. That's very, very important to me. One of the things I love to kind of talk about is, will our players, make their teammates more significant than they are, right? We build that type of culture within an organization that supports each other, and they understand the obstacles and the things that they're going to have to do to get where this club needs to go. And so ultimately, we're excited to bring this group into the fold with the guys that currently are here, and to be able to achieve great things for the Mets in the 2022 season.
And then, this is really for all three guys, so I don't know which order you want to take. If you want to do alphabetical order, Eduardo, Mark, and then Starling. Just why the Mets? Why did you guys make the decision to come here this offseason?
And before that's answered, I want to remind everybody, Alan Suriel from our group is on, who will assist with translation for Eduardo and Starling. So go ahead, Al.
Primeramente, Steve Jobs quiere preguntar por qué ustedes firmaron con los Mets.
Bueno, yo tengo buena relación con Cano. Siempre hemos estado hablando. Me ha dado muchos consejos sobre el juego. Y una de las cosas que hace varios años dije que quería estar junto con él para aprender más. Y él siga enseñándome más del juego. Y gracias a Dios se dio la oportunidad. Y aquí estamos. Esa es una de las claves que por lo cual elegí los Mets, ya que hay muchos latinos, tengo mucha familia ahí y me llevo bien con algunos de los jugadores.
Well, first off, I have a good relationship with Cano. Throughout my career, he's given me a lot of good advice, and early on in my career, I always said that I wanted to be his teammate. And now that I had the opportunity to do so, I decided to take it. There are a lot of Latinos on the team. I think the team is really good, and I have a lot of good relationships with them. And I also have a lot of family in New York, so I felt like it was the right time for me to take on that objective.
Thank you, Eduardo. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, bueno, para mí también, ¿verdad? Que muchas gracias por la oportunidad de traerme a estar con un gran equipo como Nueva York. De verdad que entonces, yo creo que esto es siempre una de las bonitas experiencias que uno sueña siempre, estar con un equipo como los Mets. De verdad, como dice Starling, tengo muy buenas relaciones con muchos de los peloteros que están ahí. Ya pude compartir con Tyler Walker, con el mismo Starling, con todos los muchachos. De verdad que me siento bastante orgulloso por esta oportunidad y compartir con todas estas estrellas que tiene el equipo. Yo creo que va a ser un equipo bastante animado. De verdad que trae toda mi energía, mis cosas positivas al equipo, a los muchachos, y estar todos jugando juntos y con una energía todos los días linda para lograr y querer lo que queremos, que es ganar el campeonato.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this great organization. And like Starling said, I have a lot of good relationships with the players on this team, whether it's Taiwan Walker or Starling and a bunch of the other guys that are on this team at the moment. But yeah, I also feel like I can bring my experience, my energy to this team to be able to have a great experience going forward in these next couple of years. And I'm excited for that opportunity.
Mark, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you to Steve, Sandy, and Billy, first off, for this amazing opportunity. I'm very excited, and why the Mets? And it's just the Mets because I think it's nice to feel wanted, and the Mets made it abundantly clear that they wanted me, and they demonstrated that in various ways, and you know, I think I was ready for the big stage, and New York's a big stage, and I want that big stage and to show the world what I can do. And yeah, I kind of got the impression that the Mets were going to be going for it, and I wanted to play for a competitor, and I liked everything I was hearing from Billy and Sandy every time we talked. So I'm very excited, and my family's very excited to be in a place like New York as well. My wife and I are very much city people, and we're looking forward to being in New York and playing for the Mets.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Next question will come from Tony Tacoma.
Hey, everyone. This is for whichever player wants to answer it. You guys all signed within a few hours of each other. Mark, I know you just mentioned, the vision for this team. I'm curious, how much you're aware of the other things that were going on while you were negotiating, and obviously Scherzer signing very shortly after. Just how much you were aware of how many new players, new faces were going to be pumped into this roster pretty quickly.
Yeah, not at all aware of what was going on in the background. But once I found out, it was instantly like, started getting energized, started feeling it. And yeah, I mean, that was an amazing day. And it was just one that I can't stop smiling when I think about this opportunity. And I'm just so excited I played with Starling last year in the second half. And I've played against Eduardo as well. So when I saw those names, I was like, okay, we're cooking a little bit here now. And it was cool. I mean, I'm kind of used to a little bit less exciting off seasons as well with my previous team. So yeah, it was just kind of crazy. It was all very new for me and very exciting.
Alan?
Ustedes los tres firmaron entre horas de cada uno. Ustedes tuvieron esa información que tanto movimiento iba a procesar, y después también ustedes esperaban que iban a hacer una adhesión como Max Scherzer el lunes.
No, bueno, en realidad no. Yo estaba en Europa en vacaciones y mi abogado comenzó a llamarme, a escribirme, y todo lo que me dijo fue positivo. Como dijo Canha, jugué con él el año pasado en la segunda mitad, y la verdad que el talento que tiene es increíble. Siempre está en la base, siempre está juiciando a llegar, siempre está un tremendo jugador. Jugué también con Escobar y me enseñó muchísimo. el tiempo que tuve en Arizona fue maravilloso. Siempre estaba con ánimo el muchacho y esa es una de las piezas clave que nosotros venimos a brindarle a aquellos muchachos jóvenes que todavía le falta mucho para aprender. Pero me sorprendió mucho cuando vi la noticia del pitcher, ese gran caballo que estaremos ahí compartiendo ese Clubhouse y el estadio. Y la verdad que trajeron un pitcher para darle un poder al equipo y salir a competir todos los días fuerte.
No, to be honest, I wasn't expecting there to be that many moves so fast. After Eduardo agreed to the deal, he reached out to me and we were talking a little bit about how excited he was. And speaking about Canha and just learning a whole bunch from him last year in the second half, just seeing how he gets on base, seeing how he hustles every play, and just learning from the both of them. They're both tremendous players. I feel like we can bring a lot to that team, to a lot of the young players that are still there that still have a lot to learn, and being able to be a guide for them. And in regards to the Scherzer signing, I wasn't expecting that. And when I saw that, I was excited to be able to be in the same clubhouse as that great pitcher that he is, and just so he can reinforce that rotation and really lead us to great things.
And for Eduardo.
No, para mí de verdad que todavía no tengo ni palabras para mencionar lo alegre que estoy de esta oportunidad. De verdad que los últimos días han sido unos movimientos bastante movidos. Los peloteros que han traído, verdad que yo creo que además una buena química en el equipo con lo que hemos tenido, verdad, para uno como pelotero profesional, que uno tiene que sentirse orgulloso del trabajo que ha hecho la oficina de juntar tanto talento bueno en un solo Clubhouse, y eso yo creo que esa es parte del secreto que va a tener este equipo este año, de nosotros podamos brindar esa energía y brindar con esa combinación de los peloteros veteranos con los peloteros jóvenes. Yo creo que de verdad que cuando vi también la noticia de que estaba Starling Marte y ahora Church aquí, de verdad que, mira, todavía no lo creo, verdad, me siento tan alegre, y yo creo que este año va a ser un buen año para nosotros porque vamos a brindar toda esa experiencia que tenemos todos y ligarlas todo. Yo creo que va a ser un buen momento para todos nosotros, y de verdad que yo creo que la oficina ha hecho tremendo trabajo y hay que felicitarlo por eso.
To be honest, I can't even express how happy I am with all the moves that the team has made from the very beginning. First, I saw the Starling move, and then I saw Scherzer, and it's just, I feel like it's going to be a tremendous chemistry that we have in that clubhouse, which is going to be a mixture of a lot of veteran guys, a lot of young guys, to be able to bring that energy and that experience, to be able to go forward, to be able to win a lot of games. And yeah, I just still can't believe it that we signed Scherzer at this point. But the front office deserves a ton of credit for all the moves that they've made so far.
Thank you. Thanks to all three of you.
Tim Healy will come to your line next.
Hey, this is a question for all three players. You guys are all pretty versatile in the field and in the lineup. What did the Mets communicate to you about their plans for where they want to play you defensively and offensively?
Ustedes toditos pueden jugar más de una posición, pueden batear en diferentes lugares del lineup. ¿Qué fue lo que te dijo el front office de cómo lo iban a usar ustedes dos?
Bueno, yo juego toda. Yo juego toda la posición. Siempre y cuando yo esté en el line-up y en una de las posiciones, yo haré el mejor trabajo para ayudar al equipo lo más que pueda.
For me, I'll play whatever position they need me to play. As long as I'm in there, whatever part of the lineup I'm in, whatever position I'm in, I'll do whatever I need to do to help the team win.
Bueno, para mí también lo mismo. Yo creo que lo principal de nosotros venir aquí es traer nuestra experiencia al equipo y darle la mejor flexibilidad al manager y a sus coaches de ayudarnos en lo que necesite. Yo creo que cuando tenemos un grupo como el que tenemos, un equipo como el que tenemos, creo que hay que buscar la manera de siempre buscar ese espacio donde se necesite. Uno está a la disposición del manager para ayudar al equipo a ganar, que creo que esa es la mentalidad de cada uno de nosotros, que no importa dónde nos pongan, simplemente ver el nombre todos los días ahí, pero buscar la manera de cómo siempre está ayudando al equipo a ganar.
Yeah, like Starling said, we're here to do whatever to help the team win. Our job is to bring that experience to the clubhouse, to the team. It's also there to be able to give that manager flexibility to be able to make different moves. As long as we're in the lineup, we're going to do whatever we can to help the team win. And yeah, that's just going forward, whatever the team needs, wherever we are in the lineup, I feel like we can help with our experience and our ability on the field.
And I think I'd like to just express the same sentiment. I mean, I feel the exact same way. That did come up when I was talking to Sandy and Billy, and I just said, I don't care. I'll play wherever you need me. In the past, I've filled in for guys when they need a day off or when guys are hurt, and I'm kind of always embraced that role and take pride in my athleticism and my ability to kind of play all the outfield positions and first if you need me there. But yeah, it's wherever you need me, I'm happy to go there.
And then separately for Billy, if that's all right, I think this is your 13th day on the job, full day, and obviously that's been a busy time. How would you describe the level of busyness over that stretch for you day to day? And do you think that you can benefit from the anticipated lockout from settling in / getting to know the organization perspective?
Yeah, I'm glad you're keeping track. It's kind of all blurring together right now. So it's been very active, clearly. The volume of phone calls and Zoom calls. I mean, you know what I've done with, and I know I mentioned Bryn, Ian, and Ben earlier, but essentially, like, we've just started a Zoom in the morning, and I just leave it on, and we'll go dark or put them on mute, but I just leave it on as a virtual office. It's been that kind of connected and that plugged in through this whole time period since I've started. I would just say that moving forward, I'm ready for however much activity there is. I'm whether we're doing player transactions, whether it's talking more infrastructure and talking about the institution and the potential hires that we have to make from a staffing standpoint. I'm ready for whatever's put in front of me. There's not really any time to take a break because I have to acclimate myself to a really new organization, in a short period of time. So I'm just looking forward to whatever the next day brings, and I'm ready to go. Not to sound like a player, like I'll play anywhere, but I mean, whatever it comes, whatever serves up. I'm just looking forward to tackling those challenges.
Next question will come from Disha Thozar.
Hey guys, this is for Billy or Sandy. If you view Starling Marte as the starting center fielder, have you talked to Cano about what his role would be and just sort of how open he is to giving up that center field job potentially to someone like Starling?
Did you mean Nemo?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said Cano. I thought I heard Cano. Sorry. No, we haven't decided right now. I mean, what came up in the conversations was, are we comfortable having guys play all over the diamond? I haven't had a chance to talk to Brandon yet about that. I felt it would be a little premature to do that in advance of getting a manager in place. But I did have these conversations with both Eduardo and Mark and Starling, through the process that, it might not be just one position. You might move around a lot. I've seen a lot of value come from managing the lineup and the workload by moving players around. And that was by design for us, to be able to deal with whatever adversities or deal with whatever obstacles is going to come our way, feeling like we're covered in center field in 3 spots right now. We're covered in shortstop in 2 spots right now. We're covered at second base in 3 spots right now. We're covered at third base in 3 spots right now. Like, we're covered, and that provides me, Sandy and Steve, and should provide everybody a lot of comfort that if we have to move things around, that we feel very that we feel like we have very strong players to put in those spots and kind of, you know, again, navigate that workload that every team faces.
So in the same vein, it sounds like you don't view Escobar as the starting third baseman either. And you kind of are open to flipping him around, or are you still looking for a starting third baseman as well to pick up before the season starts?
I mean, I think it's fair to say that Eduardo's going to accumulate a boatload of plate appearances, and that he can do that in a number of positions. So we're going to remain preserve optionality, I guess.
Tim Britton, your line is open.
Hey, Billy, kind of going off those lines, you mentioned you've seen that value in managing workload that way. How differently have you thought about kind of having that versatility and positional flexibility over the last couple of years? It seems like it's grown in popularity across the sport the last few years.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of it. I love players that can play multiple positions. I love players that can play on the dirt and the grass too. I think it just opens up so many different options for the manager, and it also helps too in days where, if you're going to have a player that's going to play, that's going to amass 550, 600 plate appearances. When you provide an off day, there's value in the fact that person doesn't have to come in and pinch hit or come in to play defense. Trust me, these guys are ready to do that. They're ready to contribute to winning baseball. That was explained through the process, and they get that and they buy into that, and that's why they're here. But it is still nice to be able to provide an off day for somebody that maybe has just played 11 in a row or 14 in a row, and maybe that's been sandwiched between 2 road trips, and we've had to go west and come back east. And if we can do that and feel good about the names going in, I think that's going to serve the club well moving forward.
And then for Sandy, Max talked about it earlier today. Billy talked about it earlier now about the clubhouse chemistry part of this. You were the one who was here last year. What did you think of the clubhouse dynamic for the Mets this last season?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the dynamic changed during the course of the season. And that's not unusual when a team is generally winning versus a period when they're not as successful. So I think, look, we had a lot of new players last year. We're going to have a lot of new players this year. And what I'm hopeful is that those who were new last year have become more comfortable and accommodating of the demands that are placed on them in a place like New York. But with the 4 players that we have coming in that we've identified to this point, I think they're going to add immeasurably. We talked about Max's contribution earlier today, but I think these 3 guys are going to have just as big an impact. And as Billy said earlier, makeup was a consideration, a significant one. And so these players are very dynamic, exciting, and are producers. But at the same time, we think they're going to be great citizens of the clubhouse as well.
Thank you, Sandy. Ken Davidoff will come to you next.
I just wanted to follow up with Mark. Mark, you mentioned the efforts that the Mets made to express their interest in you. I was wondering, was there one gesture or action that stood out?
Yeah, they actually, Sandy and Billy came out to see me in person, and nobody else did that. So that was big for me. I didn't think much of it at the time, but then after the meeting, I was like thinking, man, I'm really glad they did that, because I don't really know anything about the Mets. I don't think I've ever played a game against the Mets in my career. Personally, the A's might have, but I think I've missed those games. So it gave me some really good insight, and it just made an impression on me how much they were talking to my wife just as much they were talking to me, and it very much felt like a kind of like a family, and they really cared about my wife being there and reassuring her about everything the organization has to offer and all that. So that just really like kind of, I would say the Mets may not have been the favorite before that meeting, and then after the meeting they were like kind of one of the favorites. So it was the fact that they were the only team that did that was pretty cool, made a big impression, and showed me a lot.
And when did that meeting happen, Mark?
2 weeks ago, guys.
It was on a Monday. It was on Sandy's birthday. He jumped on a plane. Sorry, Sandy. I'm sorry. He jumps on a plane. He jumps on a plane in Florida, flies to Phoenix, meets me in Phoenix. I get the better end of the deal, right? I'm like 45 minutes away. Then Sandy jumps back on a plane same day to fly back to Florida on his birthday. So yeah, full commitment there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
my agent texted me.
Sorry,
My agent texted me and said, "Hey, you know, I'm like driving to the meeting," and he goes, "Hey, by the way, it's Sandy's birthday, so wish him a happy birthday." And me and my wife are going, "Oh my God."
So that was last week, right? Thanksgiving week.
Monday. It was a Monday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, and happy belated, Sandy.
Hey, one of my better birthdays.
Andy Martino, your line is open.
Billy, I got two questions for you. One is, are we at the point now at 6:30 tonight where are like conversations between clubs and agents really slowing down generally? Do you sense, just because people are anticipating what could happen at midnight? Are we in that phase now where it's slower? Trade talks in particular are still going on generally? The second question is about the versatility. You've spoken about the value of it, and you've been asked about how the game is trending that way over the last couple of years. Do you think, in your experience in New York that you already have, that that's a harder sell in some ways, or a bigger a talking point in New York? Like, there's always people like us always want to know who's the closer, who's the center fielder, who's the first baseman. Where the Giants didn't have an answer to those questions a lot of times. It was just so versatile, and so many guys got 200 at bats and played around the diamond. Do you think New York presents a challenge because we're so used to talking about the game in a certain way, to selling this even just to the public, or not having your manager have to answer these kind of questions every day?
Yeah. So as far as the versatility aspect, it is really important for me to be able to offer a lot of different options and to kind of manage the workload. I understand the value. Growing up as a kid, growing up on the West Coast, being able to think to myself like, oh yeah, okay, Terry Kennedy's catching tonight, and Kevin McReynolds is playing center field, and Craig Nettles is playing third. I'm talking about the Padre club, growing up, and like I can do that. But I also understand winning baseball, and winning baseball is about taking 27 outs away from that other team as quickly as we can. And sometimes we're going to hand the ball to some pitchers and say, go as deep as you can. And sometimes we might hand the ball to the pitcher and go, you're going to get 9 hitters right now, and give everything you've got for these 9 hitters. And if we can pull outs away there, that contributes to winning baseball. Similarly, Citi Field's a tough outfield to play. And it's not, it's a tough hitter's park. And that means a lot of balls in the outfield. So I kind of look at the outfield, like you have this responsibility to stand and, in this field of grass, and the ball is going to get hit. And how many can you go catch? How difficult was that ball hit? How hard was it hit? What was the trajectory? What was the chances of catching it? And can our guys catch more than the average fielder? And I don't fall in love with wherever they stand. They can stand wherever they stand. Ideally, they're right where the balls are hit. But can they get on their horse? Can they motor? And can they chase the ball down and catch it? And it doesn't matter to me if they're playing right, left, center, rover. It doesn't matter. Just catch the ball. And we're going to try to do our best to put them in the position to do that and to kind of understand how fast they run and what kind of range and do they go a certain direction better, and really like challenge them with some deliberate practice to reinforce that. So while it might while you might not be able to predict who's playing where on a particular day, we're going to do what we can to contribute to winning baseball. As far as the activity, I've still been pretty active today, in between some press and press conferences and some radio spots. But yeah, I've still been talking to clubs. In fact, I was talking to a team that, I almost was late to signing on to the Zoom. So yeah, still active.
Clubs perceive that there's still time to make a trade, seems.
Yeah, I think, by and large, you could approach it similar to a trade deadline, I guess, for lack of a better way to frame that.
Eddie Coleman, we will come to your line next.
Welcome, guys, Starling, Mark, and Eduardo. This is for Eduardo in particular. Eduardo, you played all around the infield. I don't think shortstop lately, but you played the other three positions a lot. I just wondered where you're most comfortable and what you think your best position is.
Eduardo, tú has jugado en todas las posiciones del infield. Tú no has jugado shortstop en mucho tiempo, pero ¿a dónde tú te sientes más cómodo en el infield?
Bueno, yo siempre soy una persona que para mí lo más importante es mi nombre en el line, no importa la posición que esté. Yo creo que siempre tengo una mentalidad de que llegue a la Grandes Ligas, es que siempre estoy a la disposición de ayudar al equipo a ganar. Para mí lo más importante es mi nombre en el line todos los días, y yo siempre daré lo mejor de mí en cualquiera de las posiciones que me llegue a necesitar el manager, pero estoy acostumbrado, me acostumbró a jugar tercera, me gusta jugar segunda, ahora aprendí a jugar primera también. Yo creo que es una de las cosas que cualquier manager le encantaría. Jugar también puedo campo corto, creo que jugar todas las posiciones, pero como te digo, no tengo, para mí la prioridad sea tercera, pero sé cuando tienes un equipo como el que estoy ahora, yo creo que darle la flexibilidad al manager de cualquier posición que me pueda necesitar. Yo creo que estaré 100% porque tengo experiencia de jugar en todas las posiciones.
I'm the type of player that, as long as I see my name in the lineup, I'm fine, because I know I can help the team win. Over the last couple of years, I've been able to play all around the diamond. I played third, I can play second, I can play first. I learned how to play first, and I think that's something a manager would love, just to have that flexibility. But with the type of team that we have, my preference would be third base, but it doesn't matter. Wherever the manager wants me to play, I'll play. I know that the type of team that we have a really skillful team that can play all around. And yeah, that's all I want to do. That's been my goal since I first got to the major leagues, is to play wherever they need me. And as long as I'm in the lineup, I know that I can produce for the team.
Thank you.
Max Jimenez, will come to your line next. Hold on, Max, we'll get you unmuted.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Ok, hola, buenas noches. Max Pérez Jiménez, de la cadena en español de los Mex de Nueva York. En primer lugar, quiero darle las gracias a Mr. Coin, Steve Coin, a Sandy, a Billy, por regalarnos una tremenda semana de acción de gracias. Bienvenidos, Starling, Eduardo y Mark. Como bateadores le pregunto, ¿qué se siente jugar con los dos mejores lanzadores del béisbol de tu lado?
First off, how does it feel to be able to, as hitters, to be able to play with two of the greatest pitchers in the league right now?
Bueno, para mí, de verdad que primero, bastante contento que no lo voy a enfrentar más. Pero de verdad que para un orgullo, como te digo, yo creo que no mira a Tigrón y a Church ahora, yo creo que eso es una gran bendición que uno tiene, porque ahora lo tenemos en el mismo equipo, pero de verdad que hay que sentirse orgulloso. Yo me siento bastante orgulloso de compartir un Clubhouse, compartir un equipo con grandes estrellas, los dos Sayón o Salón de la Fama en el futuro, pero de verdad que para mí es lo mejor. De verdad que, como se lo digo, no tengo palabras para decir lo que yo siento de estar en el Clubhouse con ellos, y bueno, ahora lo mejor de mí para yo también y agarrar la mejor experiencia de ellos también.
First off, thankfully I don't have to face them anymore going forward. But no, it's a great blessing to be able to be teammates with those two guys, to be able to share the same clubhouse with those two guys. 2 Cy Young winners, 2 future Hall of Famers, Lord willing. But yeah, I just can't wait to have that experience, to be able to be a teammate of those two guys, and just to be able to help them be their best selves going forward.
All right, Starling.
Bueno, para mí es lo mismo que dijo Escobar. 2 tremendos pitches. Son varios turnos que no lo voy a ver. Y la verdad que va a ser emocionante poder ver esos pitches dominando a estos bateadores, ya que yo soy uno de los jugadores que me gozo el juego ahí atrás, cada picheo que van tirando. Yo que esté en el outfield puedo verlo, y va a ser emocionante estar cubriendo ahí atrás y sacando lo más que pueda a esos pitches para que sigan batallando y tirando pelota y se lo gocen como yo.
No, yeah, it's just like Escobar said. I'm not the type of player that's going to miss having those at bats against those guys. But yeah, no, it's gonna be super exciting being able to see those guys live, playing behind them. I'm the type of player that enjoys every second, every pitch when I'm there in center field, and yeah, I'm just gonna try to my best to get as many outs as possible, to catch as many fly balls as possible. Yeah, going forward, I just hope that they enjoy their game as much as I enjoy theirs.
And finally, Mark, your thoughts there.
I just feel lucky to be blessed to be on this team with such great pitchers like that. And I haven't seen Max or Jacob pitch actually ever in person, so I'm very excited to kind of witness their greatness and kind of not only that, but see their routines and see how they go about their business in the clubhouse, and feel ready to kind of get inspired by that. So yeah, I've heard great things about both of those guys. I've played this year with players that have played with them, and so I've heard a lot of really good things. So I'm excited to see it for myself.
Next question will come from Jake Seiner.
There we go. Hey guys, Jake Seiner from the AP. Question for Mark. Mark, I know you've been running the Big League Foodie Instagram account for several years now, and I'm just curious if you have a list of restaurants picked out in New York or some favorites you're going to come back to, and just what, it's a pretty good food city, what your level of excitement is to be coming here and doing that.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I love food. I appreciate food greatly, and I've been to a lot of great ones already, but yeah, I have some ones in mind. I haven't really hit the big like Michelin star ones that I've wanted to hit when I've come to New York, just because there's limited off days and such to do dinners. But per se, 11 Madison Park, La Bernardin are on my short list, and not just the fancy ones. I like everything. So I think this lesser known restaurants, off the beaten path ones, I'm going to need some help with those from the fans and from people. So yeah, but I can't wait to dive in, and it's overwhelming. I mean, everyone's already telling me where to go eat on Twitter and stuff, and I'm like, I can't. It's too much noise. I can't keep up with this on Twitter. But I'll figure out something. I'll figure out a way. I got to get going on that though.
Mark Sanchez, your line is open.
Hey guys, I'm Mark Sanchez from the New York Post, and I want to follow up on Starling, and thank you, Alan. I want to follow up on Cano. Did he recruit you at all during this process? Have you talked with him recently?
Él te quiere preguntar de Robinson Cano. ¿Tú hablaste con él antes de firmar o tú hablaste con él después que firmaste?
No, mira qué casualidad que no hablamos antes de, por qué razón, no sé, pero él es uno de los primeros que siempre me llama, me escribe y mira, estamos tratando de filmarte, pero tal vez no lo hizo porque sabe que no tenían gerente lo primero y no se sabía, pero desde que filmé, él me llamó, me escribió y como siempre, a la disposición a lo que yo necesite y por eso seguimos.
No, so we didn't speak before signing. Usually we speak in previous years. We've spoken about possibly being teammates together, and he's talking about, oh, like you should come play with us. But after I signed, he was one of the first people to hit me up. He sent me a message and we spoke a little bit there. But I always look forward to having conversations with him just to continue learning from him.
Mark Roseman, your line is open.
Hi, guys. I have a question for Billy and the three of you. The first question, Billy, and this kind of stuck with me from your introductory press conference where you talked about Stick Michael and, using the eyeballs, looking at a guy on deck and seeing body language. We've talked a lot about analytics. These three guys are really high on base percentage guys. When it comes to hiring a manager, will you give that manager that latitude where maybe a particular batter has good numbers against a pitcher, but that particular day, that manager's eyeballs are telling him differently? And is there more latitude with a veteran manager to be able to do that? And secondly, for the three players, and if you can do it in alphabetical order, you come from small markets that you've played in. Have you spoken to players that have played here in New York, and what extra baggage comes with that? And how are you guys equipped to deal with that? Thanks, guys.
You want me to go first here?
Yeah, please, Billy.
Okay. So thanks for the question, Mark, and appreciate you acknowledging Stick. Very impactful, mentor for me in my developmental years, right, in professional baseball. And so I do value when a batter steps in the batter's box, the ability to make good decisions on swing and no swing, right? So you have a decision to make every single pitch you see. And ultimately, it's not driven by pitches per plate appearance or walks. It's really driven by decision making. And if they make good decisions and people that have, a high degree of concentration and a high degree of focus, and I think that's what I alluded to in that introductory press conference, is people that have that high degree of concentration and focus, tend to make better swing, no swing decisions. And there's the result when you step in the batter's box. The result, that's the process, the swing decisions, right? But the result is you either go on base or you go to the dugout. And so if we can keep people on base and kind of keep a conveyor belt going, that's just the more run scoring opportunities that present themselves. As far as how that plays with our manager, that manager will have the latitude to make those decisions and make those assessments. I like to look at the involvement of information, and we can step back 30 years if you want, 20 years, and before a lot of some of the predictive analytics integrated, there were still things that managers were looking at to kind of help guide the decision-making process. Some of those tools have become more formalized, have become better studied, have been, better practiced. Those processes have been improved. And so you can use those to kind of create a map. But a map, I like to look at a map is maps, not the territory. So a map is this reduction and says, all right, if you're walking this path, here's an angle you can take to get to where you want to go. Well, what do you do if there's a tree that fell, right? What do you do if there's a a forest fire, right? You can't take that. You can't go that way. So you have to have adjustability. And that is where the art comes in to managing a baseball game, putting a lineup together. That's where the decision-making comes into play. And, you know, you'd love to play odds, right? We all love, there's a huge city in the desert that was built on odds, you know? So we want to play odds, but there's rationale behind maybe not playing that odd at that particular moment in time. And that's what you entrust your coaching staff to be able to kind of filter through, you know, in game. Sorry for the long-winded answer, but I thought it kind of merited some explanation behind it. So that's how we want to look at it.
Thank you, Billy. Alan, if you can finish off for the guys the next part.
Yeah, ustedes tres han jugado en ciudades pequeñas con los equipos que no tienen tantos reporteros, tanta prensa. Ustedes han hablado con otros jugadores que han jugado aquí para consejo y para poder navegar en una ciudad como Nueva York.
Bueno, no, en realidad no, así. Gente me ha dicho dónde viví y eso, pero no.
No, to be honest, I've never asked about it. Some guys have told me what's a good spot to live or things like that, but I've never bothered to ask about the big city and the baggage.
¿Cuál fue la pregunta que hicieron?
Que tú has jugado en una ciudad pequeña sin muchos reporteros, sin mucha atención. Ahora que estás jugando en Nueva York con tanta atención, tú has buscado consejos con los jugadores que han jugado aquí.
No, de verdad, todavía no, pero yo creo que tengo muy buena comunicación con Carrasco, con Tahuahua, que todos ellos, yo creo que se les puede hacer la pregunta, también Molindor, pero yo sé que la responsabilidad que uno tiene es jugar aquí en Nueva York, una ciudad grande totalmente diferente a donde uno ha jugado, pero yo creo que cuando uno sabe lo que uno tiene que hacer, cuál es la responsabilidad de uno, yo creo que ese es el secreto de profesional como somos, y eso es lo que uno tiene que, yo creo que porque estemos jugando en Nueva York, yo creo que uno no puede hacer más de lo que uno puede hacer, porque yo creo que no viene el problema. Y eso es lo más importante. Yo creo que con Starling Marte y yo somos gente que tenemos nuevo aquí, pero creo que si nosotros sabemos jugar viejo como siempre lo hemos jugado, creo que vamos a estar vivos, vamos a hacer un buen papel. Yo creo que ese es el secreto de nosotros. Sabemos dónde estamos pisando, pero como te lo digo, yo creo que cada uno de nosotros tenemos nuestra responsabilidad y podemos hacer nuestro trabajo como siempre lo hemos hecho.
No, I haven't thought much about it, but I know that I can reach out to Carlos Carrasco, Taiwan Walker, even Francisco Lindor about how it is over here. But I know that playing here is completely different from playing anywhere else, and I know the responsibility that we have when we play for this team and for the city. So I think if we're able to produce the way that we do on field and what's expected of us, and we're also responsible and we do what we need to do off the field, I think we're going to be okay. I know myself, Mark, and Starling are new to this team, but I think that we can do good things as long as we play to our ability and we're responsible with what's demanded of us off the field.
And finally, Mark, your thoughts there.
Yeah, I've heard, you hear stories about what it's like to play in New York. I've always liked the big stage, kind of, even though I played in Oakland the last 7 years, but every time we go to Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park or Wrigley or these big stadiums with big market clubs, I've always reveled at the chance to play in front of those crowds and kind of show off. So I like the big stage, and I think it also kind of is fitting to my game with the noise and stuff. I think I have an ability, just like I've seen these other guys. I would say the same thing about these guys watching them play. I just have an ability to kind of tune that out and focus on what I need to focus on. And I feel like it kind of gives me an advantage sometimes too, when other teams are going to come into New York and maybe be a little shaky. I think that plays into my game because I can control the strike zone and take advantage of that.
Thank you, everybody. We have time for just a couple more quick ones. Daniel Reyes, go ahead, please. Nope, need to unmute, Daniel. There you
What
go.
about now? Now, it's good?
Good.
All right. Stanley, Escobar, felicidades por jugar en una gran ciudad tan grande como lo es Nueva York. Para usted, el significado de jugar en frente de tantos latinos que van a ir a apoyar a los Mets ahora porque hicieron buenas contrataciones. El equipo y los fanáticos tienen ansias de ganar una serie mundial que no lo hacen desde 1986.
Bueno, para nosotros va a ser fabuloso jugar en la ciudad, ya que tantos latinos que nos conocen y nos siguen, para ellos vernos todos los días en el terreno, jugando duro, haciendo otra jugada, compartiendo con ellos mismos. Tú muy bien sabes que me conoces bien, que vienes conmigo de Dominicana, sabes la clase de persona que soy, cómo me dedico también afuera del terreno y adentro, y para nosotros va a ser fabuloso estar jugando ahí y traer más fanáticos al estadio.
It's gonna be great to be able to play there in front of the fans. I'm excited. You know how I am about how much fun I have with the fans during my time on the field. You know how I dedicate myself on and off the field day in and day out. But yeah, I can't wait to play in front of all the fans, especially the Latino fans that are going to come to the stadium. It's just because there's just so many of them. But yeah, I'm very excited to play this year.
Thank you, Alan and Starling. Mark Healy, your line's open, please. No, go ahead and unmute, Mark.
Here we go. This question's for Billy. First of all, welcome to New York again. My question is, last year, obviously, the team struggled overall with hitting with runners in scoring position. So one of the first things I did when you acquired these three gentlemen was to look at their numbers with runners in scoring position. And all three of them, whether it's on-base percentage, whether it's slugging percentage, whether it's OPS overall, they all performed very well, especially last year with runners in scoring position. Did that play a role in your acquiring them?
Not those specific lines, but kind of more of the process that drives those type of numbers. So, you know, something that I learned, you know, in my baseball development is that, you know, a lot of times those runners in scoring position numbers, you know, they fluctuate a good deal because you're dealing with, you know, kind of a limited sample. But if you kind of think at what drives those numbers, it's generally contact. Because oftentimes you get that runner in scoring position, the single can score them unless it's a really well hit single to an outfielder. It's got a, you know, really good arm, and, you know, maybe the infielders are playing double, not to get too deep, but like the infielders playing double play depth and they're pinching and so on and so forth. But for the most part, contact's going to help drive that. So, you know, I value contact. I think contact's a skill that's been, you know, maybe not as valued by some clubs. And, you know, your ballpark does drive a lot of it, you know, so where you're playing your games, and for us playing 81 games in Citi Field and having a couple other ballparks in the National League East that are, you know, a little bit, maybe a little tougher to maybe go deep in, you know, that contact, that ability to make contact, you know, plays a little bit more of a premium. So that should by and large help drive those numbers. But again, there's going to be variability on them. You can still hit the ball and put the ball in play, and they could put their defenders in the right spot. So, but at least, you know, maybe at least the odds are a little bit more in our favor. So hopefully the results follow.
Thank you, Billy. Final question will come from Pat Ragazzo.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to New York and congratulations. This one's for Eduardo. Earlier today, Max Scherzer mentioned that his good friend and former teammate, Brian Dozier, recommended you as a teammate and said how close you guys were and how much he enjoyed playing with you. So I was wondering if you knew that conversation took place and that you kind of almost had an indirect role in possibly Max's decision to come here.
Anteriormente hoy, Max Scherzer dijo que él habló con Brian Dozier y Brian Dozier dijo que tú eras uno de los mejores compañeros que ha tuvido. ¿Tú te enteraste de esa conversación hoy o tú sabías de eso ya?
No, hoy me enteré porque me lo mandó un pastor en Arizona de la conversación. Sí, es verdad, tengo muy buena relación con Brian Dozier. De hecho, una de las personas que me ha dirigido, me ha aconsejado tanto en el béisbol, ha sido Brian Dozier, ¿verdad? Lo quiero como mi hermano, de que jugamos juntos en Minnesota, me ha enseñado mucho el valor que es jugar al béisbol todos los días duro, y es uno de los ejemplos que siempre se lo voy a agradecer, de verdad, como él, como John Mauer, todas esas estrellas que me han enseñado mucho a respetar este juego y a jugar béisbol 100% duro. Yo creo que es muy bonito cuando gente retirada como él se sigue expresando de buena manera. Eso le da a uno el valor de la personalidad que es uno, dejar a los buenos amigos siempre. Y yo creo que eso es una de las cosas que yo me enfoco mucho en la buena amistad, ser un buen compañero y siempre está apoyando a mis compañeros, no importa lo que pase, porque de esa escuela vengo yo, donde aprendí viendo las superestrellas, siendo buenas personas, y por eso que fueron superestrellas.
No, I didn't know about that conversation before today. A pastor actually sent me that quote, and that's how I found out about it. But yeah, me and Brian Dozier are great friends from our time in Minnesota. I consider him a brother. He taught me a lot about the game. He taught me a lot about how to honor the game and really appreciate it. Guys like him, guys like Joe Mauer during my time in Minnesota really taught me how to take everything in and really appreciate the game. That's why those guys were superstars during their time when they played, because they were really humble about it, and they were able to appreciate the game. They were really able to teach a lot about the game and not take themselves too seriously. And that's what I'm still trying to do. I'm trying to pass on those same lessons that I learned from them.
Mark, Eduardo, and Starling, thank you. And again, congratulations, welcome, and appreciate your time with us this evening. Sandy, Billy, thank you, of course, for your time. Alan, thank you as well.
Máquina Deportiva, lo mejor del mundo del deporte, con análisis, comentarios, entrevistas.